that's
Welcome to Keep Your Torch Lit, episode 7/8.
Whoa. Who are you?
What? Wait.
Are you back
Who
in the
are-
market?
I am Jack T. Oh wait, you don't even have to say Jack T anymore because there's only one Jack on this podcast.
Oh.
Who are you guys?
I'm Sam.
I am Sarah X.
No, you're not anymore.
Oh wow! Wait! No, you're just Sarah.
You're just
No,
Sarah.
You don't have to say Sarah X anymore.
it doesn't
Sarah.
sound
Yeah.
as good.
'Cause Jack voted out his own mom.
I didn't. I voted for Bree.
But you knew
But-
Mom was going. You didn't save her.
That's true.
It's basically, just imagine this scenario. There's a cliff,
Mhm.
and your own mother is holding onto the ledge, and then an immunity idol is also on the ledge. You can only grab one, and Jack grabs the immunity idol unless his mother.
I'm picturing
falls to her
like the
death.
Simba. I'm picturing the Lion King
Mhm.
scene with Mufasa.
Long
Scar.
live the idol.
Exactly.
That's basically what you did. How do you feel about
I
it?
feel
Just-
great.
Can you?
You know,
No regrets.
No regrets. I got to go to Mexico after that and just be in the forest and just really
Yeah.
find myself.
We're gonna
And you know
zoom through these
I-
because I want to address some of the comments, so we're gonna leave time for that. So let's zoom
Alright.
through this episode.
Oh, you have some good
And I
comments.
think
So-
it's the merge this episode.
It is the
Isn't it?
merge, and
I think it's.
I think it's the merge.
Mallory gets 2 episode titles.
In a
She
row.
said that,
Wow.
and she says the self-loathing thing.
Wow.
So
Mallory
for
picking it up.
yeah, so after spring break, which I feel like only me, Maggie, and Jack have footage for that.
I know. Of course, like it's you guys. Of course, it's like these people that like decide to film these super extra videos on spring break. Jack's like jumping off of a cliff. Maggie's doing these exotic plants. You're just like chilling on the beach. And like
I
one of
was
the things is, like
chilling-
every Michigan student's going on these
I
rich
wasn't
spring
on the-
break trips.
In that confessional, though, I was chilling at my friend's uncle's backyard. But yes, I did film the beach one as well. Anyways,
And then Jack, what was your Big Brother reference? Everybody loved that
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah. Josh Martinez, the spoiler alert winner of BB19. Because I know you guys are going to go watch Big Brother someday. So forget I told you that. But yeah.
Sam and I don't watch Big Brother.
Yeah, but you know, he's kind of he's a mentor to me. He's an idol. I look up to him as much as I look up to my 2 idols that I have in my pocket. And
You really have 3 idols in
Yeah.
your life, Jack.
that's true. He's also Josh Martinez. He's one of the guys who's like widely considered like one of the worst winners ever because he just won against somebody who was like better than him, but just had like a shit social game. He's like the Natalie White, you know, almost a Big Brother.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but so he's a really goofy person. I just had to throw him a little shout out there.
Love it.
Okay.
But- Yeah.
So it's all fun and happy, but then there's some sad footage which I actually skipped through because I was scared to watch it. So
Oh yeah, it was definitely different and shortened from the rough cut that we saw.
wait,
But,
it was?
Yeah,
I thought it was my
Yes,
whole one
yeah.
for some reason. I feel like Brittany said it was my whole thing.
Well, no, it's
no,
definitely your whole
no.
thing.
After you gave feedback, we took some parts out.
Okay. Wait,
so,
what part?
based on
okay.
your feedback,
So what was in it?
it was mostly the same thing except for the parts where like I was like, oh, I can't believe she didn't even tell anybody. That wasn't even true. And then like some stuff that you said was like also cut out just to make it like more
Okay.
clean and shorter. I don't know. I think in general the whole spring break thing and then this is showing that like there's a little bit of a break from the game and it's showing that like there are things happening that are beyond the scope of the game and things you deal with as a student beyond the scope of the game that's important to address because we aren't just these characters on a TV show playing a game. Like we're actual people dealing with actual issues in real life, you know, and college. So I think it was really awesome to hear your story, Sarah, about what you'd gone through with your breakup and how you had really just kind of, I don't know, gained a lot of strength. through
Maggie
Survivor.
Maggie said she really liked the part where I said I I refuse to be blindsided. She was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I like that line. Maybe the savage in me came out after that week, hence my savageness in this most recent episode. I feel like the snake came out after that.
Yeah, exactly. I think the snake was kind of dormant for a while,
Right?
and then you realize that like the snake still has some venom left.
Exactly.
Like you need to get that confidence back to pounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost
agree.
would disagree, and to the extent where I would say the opposite, because I'd already seen that in like, I feel like you've been savage in a lot of other episodes, like especially the Kevin episode, like,
Kevin.
and I thought that this was actually like the first scene we'd seen in like the show of like basically like you kind of breaking down and being very vulnerable, because we haven't actually seen that to any point yet.
It was like that, but then after that episode, the snake came out.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the post-merge, seeing you in the post-merge has been different than what we've seen in a pre-merge. We've kind of seen a lot of, so I agree to that end.
And I think this might be the point where I started kind of switching my allegiances over to Sarah, was like when you like kind of like, you know, talk with all that, like with me, like I think you like both talked about it like with both of us, and then also like with me specifically, and like that's when I kind of like I think started going over towards more your side, and you start to see the scenes of me like starting to be like, hey, maybe we should get out Sam, maybe like Sam's gonna be like this big threat. I think you doing that, like obviously it like wasn't like your like I don't think your intention to just be like, oh, I'm gonna like trick Jack with this and like make him, you know, but I think that definitely like made me feel like really tight with you at this point.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
I think I felt like weird about like recording a confessional about this. I kind of remember this just as being like, I don't really want to talk about this because it's like your thing to talk about, but like I remember definitely kind of thinking like, oh crap, maybe I should actually, maybe like Sarah's actually the type of person who I want to be with longer in this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
I thought that it was like really funny how it transitioned from like this really like serious, intense, like kind of personal stuff about like there's a lot of things beyond the game of Survivor. To all of a sudden Nick's like bitch, I want the merge, like blah blah blah. I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And then like we get to the merge with. Well, wait, what? How's it going? We all walk in, and then Cooper's like, "What do you guys think it's gonna be?" Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Isn't that when Mallory says, I think it's the merge?
Cooper.
Wait a second. How does Mallory know what the merge is? I thought that she learned what the merge of Survivor is.
Mallory knows what Tribal Council is now. What Pokemon is she, Jack? Because she has evolved.
She is evolving. What's this? Dun 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 dun. Okay. All right. That's the Pokemon music that plays when you evolve.
Is Mike like Ash? I feel like Mike is Ash.
Yeah, and I think is Mallory is Pikachu? Is she evolving into Raichu? Did he give her like a Thunderstone?
Well, what we talked about last podcast, Jack, was that Mallory was originally like from the 1600s, and she's accidentally time traveled to the present. Oh. And that's why she speaks in like Old English.
Oh, so is she one of those fossilized
all the time?
Pokemon? Is she? What's the name of that? Like the Aerodactyl and like the.
Is that an Earth one? It sounds like an Earth one.
No, Aerodactyl is like the pterodactyl, and then there's like the Helix fossil, and there's the Dome fossil, and then like so there's these Pokemon that you get revived like via these items that used to be back hundreds of years ago. So you've revived Mallory back from hundreds of years ago. Now you're evolving her, and now she's becoming even more powerful.
That's wow. She's ultimate power. Ultimate power.
Ultimate power.
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm going way too into this.
Okay, so the challenge is stacking with
feet.
With feet. Before he said with feet, though, I was getting excited because I thought he was talking about like speed stacks. Oh. Did you guys ever speed stack as a kid? Because I straight up had glow in the dark speed stacks, and I was so fast in that shit.
That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard. Like you have to just say like, "Hey, Jack, one person you know was really into speed stacking as a kid." I'd instantly be Sarah Z.
So
because they were glow in the dark.
That makes
So
sense.
if we're rewinding to childhood days, Mallory is a little girl living in the 1600s.
Yeah.
Sarah is speed stacking cups, and Jack is just doing his Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
He's just learning all the Pokemon.
Okay, but fun fact: Sam used to make up aliens from Lilo and Stitch. So
They're not called
that's what
aliens;
he
they're called
was-
experiments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made
Don't-
up experiments. He drew
Yeah, I
them,
did.
and
Yeah.
so we were all really cool back in the day.
Mhm.
I'm honestly
And-
pretty upset that Jack gets the credit for Lilo and Stitch references in season 2 because I was the biggest Lilo and Stitch fan of ever.
I was
I'm
honestly-
a huge Lilo and Stitch fan. Did you even play the sandwich stacking game? Do you remember that?
Yes,
Yes, I
played-
did.
Oh
Of
my
course
god,
I
I
played it.
played that sandwich. Also, I am Lilo. So
Well, I am Stitch.
Can
I
be like-
family? And family is no one that's left behind or forgot.
oh, that's always makes me cry. Speaking
can
of
I be
crying.
Hamsterville? Isn't that his name?
Speaking of crying, I was crying a lot in the challenge because I sucked at it. I was really
Yeah.
bad.
Well, Sam almost won.
Yeah, Sam was close.
That was a very tight finish. Okay, this is the thing. I'm still heated about this years later. Okay, because Bree was like roasting me for complaining about the challenge and whatever.
That was so
I
funny.
remember
Wait.
my cup fell, and then like it fell far enough away that I couldn't reach it, and it was the last cup. And then like I had one cup left, and I was like, I can't stack it on; it's too far away. And I was trying to get Mitch to come over and give it to me because Mitch was the person like recording
Mitch
me.
is
I was like,
no help.
Mitch,
Wow.
give me the cup. And Mitch was like up in his own head, probably
Sorry.
thinking about like he's probably like, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to think of when I'm going to call my mom next, and
Wow.
or thinking about that, or thinking about like, wow, I really shouldn't have let Twarowski just
Mhm.
totally, give this bad deal that maybe lose the game.
All the
Exactly.
times it looks like Mitch is filming, he's actually FaceTiming his mom. So
Yeah.
she can watch,
She can
so.
watch.
Oh, his mom wants to see what's going to happen
Mhm.
next. Yeah, so he's probably busy FaceTiming his mom and wouldn't give me the cup back.
Yeah.
So by the time I got it back, I like placed it, and then Bree had won the challenge, and Mike had one cup left too.
Mm.
And I had like
So
8
it was
cups
very
left.
tight. It was
Yeah.
very tight. I will not be a sore loser here. Bree won it fair and square.
You
And
didn't
Bree was not
need
even
to
sore.
win. You didn't need to win it. I feel like if you had won it and you had won back-to-back individual immunities, that would not have been good.
Yeah.
I know, but I know, and we see in episode 8. This is watching this, listening to this podcast. We'll assume you've listened to 7 and you've seen 7 and 8 at this point. People are calling me a challenge threat in episode 8, but like the thing is, like you're aware. I was aware of that, but I was still like, I cannot go to a challenge and I can't not try my best. Like it doesn't matter if I'm aware of being a threat. I'm like, I can't not try my best. Like I'm just that competitive that like if I start doing something, I'm going to try to win, like no matter what, So it's like, I just like did not like, I do not like losing. But Bree was very good in this challenge, and she wasn't even sore. She was like, that wasn't hard for me at all. So
She
Bree
was
just kind of
like, Sam
killed
was saying
it.
his core was hurting. I was like, dude.
Mhm.
She was like, my
Maybe-
ass doesn't work out.
Yeah.
remember. Was it Bree and Sarah Avery were roasting me for calling myself swole? So
I think
maybe
people
they're
like
right
to roast you
in doubting.
because when Maggie was like, he's built like a hockey player, but he was like she was talking about Mike.
Mhm.
Never
Yeah.
mind. Anyways.
I think they were just making I think they were trying to say that Mike is just athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you wrestled
Yeah.
though, Sam.
Yeah, I did. Oh, I can tell the story now. Oh, I'm so happy. This was in episode 7. This was right before the merge. You know how Mike has a confessional saying like, yeah, so definitely trying to reach out to Sam and Jack and talk to them more and blah, blah, blah. And I remember we were standing there and he's like, so Sam, did you wrestle in high school? I was like, no. He's like, oh, what? No, you're kidding me. You definitely wrestled in high school. I was like, no, Mike, I didn't. I think that Mike just couldn't
Yeah.
like justify in his head why he would lose to me in a wrestling competition, going back to that one challenge, unless I had been a wrestler in high school. So I think that his mind it did not
It like
compute.
doesn't work in his
wait,
mind.
you didn't. No, it does not compute. You had to have wrestled because
No.
you beat me, and I
No.
do not lose unless it's for. So I just don't think his mind was computing.
I
the
think in
fact
his
that I had
mind-
not wrestled.
in his mind, he was like, it is 12:05 p.m. I'm talking with Sam. We're going to talk about our high school wrestling days. And then if you don't follow his prompt at the beginning, then like he just can't understand it. Like you were going to be
Is
talking
Mike
about
actually
your high
a
school
robot?
wrestling. Yeah, I think so.
Wow, wait a second here. Is he been a robot created to like imitate a frat boy at Michigan?
Frat bot.
Like is he
Sam,
the perfect frat bot?
he's one of your experiments that you made up.
Oh my gosh, the frat bot.
Yeah.
He's in Pike, he wears his Boston hat and he's very mild mannered, but he's very robotic in the way that he speaks. And he needs to update you on the time of day and who he's talking to, because he's like talking to somebody else. Like somebody's controlling him somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like his debugging logs. You know, he's trying to like just like show you what time of day it's happening at, so you can go back later.
Has Levana taken control of Mike? Is that the question that I'm asking?
No,
he's controlled by somebody. Is it not Levana?
No, Levana.
It's me.
It's Sarah. Sarah's created Mike. Oh, the conspiracy.
Mike actually didn't play this season. Like Sarah built him up to be a perfect sidekick.
We've created. So Mike is a robot, and Mallory is from the past.
From the past,
and they just come together. They've come together because they're the only non-humans in the cast. And they have this special non-human bond.
So is Mike from the future? Is he like a Terminator sent back in time? And Mallory is from the past sent forward in time. And they're just like coming together at this moment.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a special moment in history. This is one of many timelines where the two of them come together.
Yeah, so...
And this is also the timeline where Bria's won immunity and we've merged.
Wow.
So, when we were at the
next?
feast, were you guys like looking, did you guys think there would be a clue?
I
did not.
A little bit, but I was definitely watching you look for the clue.
Yeah.
You guys thought you were being sneaky, half the entire tribe.
No, but the thing is, I didn't think I was being sneaky. Because when Maggie whispered, I was like, everyone's seeing us. We were like front and center. And then I just kind of felt like making a show of it. I don't know what it was. I didn't think we were being sneaky at all. Besides the part where...
This revisionist history, Sarah.
No, Sam. I literally remember being dramatic and like walking over there to Chidi's side, and I remember all the producers. I was like, this is such good footage. But the one part I did think was sneaky was when I offered to throw Chidi's plate away, and I like snatched it. That part I was actually trying to be sneaky. The other one I was just like, whatever, it doesn't really matter because everyone's looking for a clue.
Because I was going to use that as my counterpoint of like, you were definitely trying to be sneaky about the plate. But I can see you making a show to the producers.
But the part where I was like walking over and like looking under, I was trying to be dramatic.
That's pretty great. It's pretty great that you were purposely being dramatic and Chidi still did not listen, did not realize what was happening. Maybe she's also a robot. I don't know. I don't understand how Chidi would pick up the plate with the clue and not even feel like the paper underneath it. Like, you would have thought that she would feel that there's something else there.
I know.
Poor Chidi.
Jack, are you gonna talk about the name you've given this event?
Oh, Plategate. Yeah.
Plategate.
Yeah, the one thing I remember about it is just being like so pissed that like, why is Maggie whispering to Sarah? Like, I thought I was super tight with Maggie. Why isn't Maggie telling me about the clue?
She told both of us and not you. That's kind of weird.
I know. They didn't tell me until afterwards. So, yeah.
I love how Sarah was like, yeah, and then you tell Sam and Jack. We're just like, why? Like, because Maggie said I had to. Like, whatever. You're like so salty about having to send me and Jack the clue. I thought that was really funny.
I know.
But are we going to talk about how this is like the only content Chidi really ever gets in all season 2?
Yeah, that's the moment.
Like, this is the moment. This is Chidi's moment right here.
Oh.
Like, has stumbled upon the clue.
I saw someone be like, I forgot Chidi existed until this episode.
She didn't like stumble on the clue. She stumbled like through it without realizing it. Like, I feel like stumbling on implies that you find it accidentally. Like, she just stumbled over it. She should have realized that she didn't realize she tripped. You know. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
I feel like in that confessional, like, you have to imagine the producers just like feeding her, just like, hey, did you think there's a challenge? Like, why would she just like? Or do you think there was like an advantage hidden at the feast? Like, how did she not realize? Ugh. Okay.
It's like somebody, like, you're walking around and somebody puts, like, I don't know, if someone steals a purse and then they like start trying to get rid of it and they plant the purse onto you and you're walking around with a stolen purse and you're like, I heard that a purse was recently stolen and I don't know who has it, but I have a hunch that person over there, I think they might have the purse. And you're holding the purse and it's attached to you. I'm like, do you not feel the weight of the purse on your shoulder? You know, that somebody just planted it on you, Chidi. You're like, I don't know
what is
who
this
has
analogy?
it.
No,
But
it's like
I
Willy.
think that person over there has it.
It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and like, you know, everybody's going crazy about these golden tickets. And you buy a chocolate bar, and you're like, oh, I've heard there's all these like golden tickets going around. That'd be so cool if there was one in this chocolate bar. And then you just give it to Sarah Z. Like that's what it is. You don't even know what happens the chocolate bar.
No, she opens it, but she didn't
she opens the chocolate bar.
She didn't flip it.
Yeah, she just thought it was part of the wrapper. So and she threw the wrapper away.
I was like, could I throw
the wrapper away? She opens the chocolate bar, eats the chocolate, doesn't see the gold on left in the wrapper, and then it's like, Sarah, do you want to throw this wrapper? No, Sarah's like, can I throw that away for you? You're like, sure. Throw it away.
Sarah's like, don't even worry about that wrapper. I'm just gonna take that wrapper right from you.
Don't even worry about it. Yeah, Sarah. So you and Jack realized that this clue.
It's the one that Jack found.
Yeah.
Lame.
But you guys, I assume you guys searched after Jack told you about the idol.
Yeah.
Wait, that also happened this episode.
Yeah.
Our iconic whiteboard meeting.
The whiteboard meeting.
Which not much of it was shown because it was just a lot of like strategy. But you get the gist of it. It was like our roadmap plan of bigwigs to the end.
Which all three of us are so on board with every part of this.
So
right?
on board.
Am I right?
My favorite part was you guys saying, where's the marker? And being like, I don't know. And you guys left the room. And then it shows me plotting against you two. Then it shows Jack points to the camera and he's holding the marker. He says, don't tell Sam about this. And he is holding the marker.
Okay, so some people were kind of confused about that.
The meeting so basically after us three met, Sam left, and then it was just Jack and I, and we continued to talk, but it was just cut like a little weirdly. But like the meeting with Jack and I happened after the meeting with the three of us.
Yeah,
I think that I was aware of that. I think that the way when I was helping, in our storyboarding, was it seemed like a much better story for it to look like we were both plotting against each other at the same time. To me, all came back together. So I like prefer. I feel like that version of the story is a much more fun version where like it looks like Jack actually had the marker the whole time and was actually just plotting against me, like, you know. But it just seems so fake. We all come together. We're like, oh hey, final three. And we're all like, completely, you know, going against each other at the same time.
I feel like all the comments are like, Jack against Sam. Who's gonna come out on top from that? And like, why isn't it Jack versus Sarah versus Sam?
I think that you have never really spoken about having a horse in this fight, or you never really said anything about either of us being threats. Whereas me and Jack have kind of had this storyline built up for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like me and Sam
threats.
Yeah, me and Sam were like the day ones from day one. That's redundant, but
I would say me and Jack is tied together, whereas Sarah and Mike are tied together.
And I try to tie myself more to Sarah in these two episodes by like planning scenes against Sam.
Yeah, even moving forward to like me commenting on the two of you being cocky, and I'm not even grouping myself in with that. I'm like, Jack.
And like and neither of us are throwing Sarah's name out. Like it's not like I'm going to Sam and being like, hey, we should get out Sarah. She's a big threat. It's more like we're both going to different people saying that Sam or Jack is the threat, you know?
Yeah, and
like you're kind of like insulated from that.
Speaking of threats, we are seeing Bree have a little bit of talk of being a threat after winning the immunity, and she's kind of like, you're just like, oh, Bree's gonna go on Ozzy like run and blah blah blah, and we kind of see Ohana sizing each other up. Abby calls Bree and Jack threats because you guys are such super fans.
I'm such a super fan. I've seen every season 3 times.
I think it's funny how being a super fan equates to like being good at the game.
It definitely equates to having a lot of knowledge about the game, but yeah, that's true. Just because you have your knowledge does not mean you have wisdom.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do with that knowledge? That's like a real question.
Knowledge is power.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess like going into the vote, we were talking about like it seemed like it's going to be Mike or Chidi are the two names that are kind of like brought up the most.
Yeah, everyone wants. A lot of people want Mike out, but
Yeah.
at this point, I'm kind of trying to get like Jack and Sam to like keep the option of working with Mike and the Ceruleans. And so I was like, I feel like it's too early to like just straight up commit to Ohana. Like we should play the middle a little bit longer while we can. And so that's kind of how I like got you guys to be more on board with voting with Mike, because I know you guys also mentioned wanting Mike out in the beginning, but I was not. Like Mike was just too good for my game to let him go. And I guess like Maggie and Abby just seemed like they just kind of went along with it. Like Abby was like, if they want that, I'm not going to go against it. I think people just like, it was too early to be going against the flow or like arguing too much for one person, I guess. So we were just able to get everyone to vote for Chidi, who nobody except Nick really
had any connection with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even Mallory is just like, yeah, Chidi has not really made any connections, and is coming to bite her in the butt now.
Yeah, and we had promised them that next week we would get out in Ohana. Like, in the normies.
Yeah, so I guess, like, at this point, yeah, it's an interesting discussion of, like, Abby says it's so obvious, Ohana Final 6, blah, blah, blah. And Abby and Maggie think it's a flashing red lights, get rid of Mike. I think that if you don't know about the Normies Alliance, yeah, there'd be no reason to get Chidi out over Mike. There's absolutely no reason. Like, why get rid of Chidi when you can get rid of Mike from Abby or Maggie's perspective, you know? And I think that, like, I think that was basically what me, you, and Jack discussed when we made that whiteboard plan was, what are we going to do? I remember specifically being like, why do we have to do the Normies Alliance? Like, what's the point in that? Because we could just make Ohana Final 6. Like, why not do that? Was basically what I was saying. So I was like, yes, we have this option, but we don't necessarily need that option.
I think for me, I just really didn't feel good about Bree or Abby at that point. And I just thought that there could be something good with Mike and Mallory. They seemed a lot more kind of like straight up people. And I don't know. And like, I feel like a lot of that was probably...
I mean, I feel like you definitely did bond with Mike pretty well when you were in the tribe together. And then like Sarah had an expressed interest in working with Mike too.
My strategy for that week was just 1, have Mike get closer to Sam and Jack. 2, form the normies and get Jack and Sam to realize we should play the middle a little longer and not cut off our option completely. Because this way we're not even cutting off our Ohana option. We still have it, but we're also keeping our Mike option open. So that was my strategy going into that week.
And I think that was the biggest thing for me, actually, now that I'm kind of remembering it more, is that, like, I just wanted to keep all options open, and that Chidi was the perfect vote for, like, not showing your hands at all about whether we're going to Ohana, about whether we're going to normies. Like, it doesn't show that at all. Like, and it's especially the first merge vote, we were just like, you know, if we vote against Mike, then all of a sudden, like, we know that, like, Cerulean people are going to be like, okay, they're just going after Cerulean. If we vote after Bree or Abby, which I don't think was ever really a consideration, but, like, it would show that, we're just turning on Ohana. So, like, I think Chidi is just, like, the perfect compromise to keep everybody happy and just kind of, like, not reveal where we're at for another week where, like, me specifically, I don't have to play one of my 2 idols because, like, I wouldn't think that people are coming for me yet because I haven't shown where I'm going, like, who I'm closely aligned with yet.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we got everyone to vote for Chidi.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. Like, that vote it definitely the definition of, like, a vote of, like, delaying decisions till later, because literally every person, 10 people voted for Chidi. So it was 10-1. Like,
even
not
people
even
who didn't
worried
want
about
to.
splitting votes.
Yeah.
So I feel like if 10 people vote the same way, then it's like it's impossible to know where the power is really lying.
Yeah, and I think it's in the next episode that I say, like, it's like not often that a merge vote is unanimous, and like it's so not often. It didn't actually happen, I think, until David versus Goliath. Spoiler alert.
Really?
Well, I think that's the first unanimous merge vote is in season 37.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's usually like two sides at least.
Which at the time that had not premiered yet on TV.
Yeah. So we're technically the first for that.
We just have so much power and we don't know what to do with it.
Exactly. I think that's the story of this right now.
We're cocky, have way too much power. Everyone listens to us when they really shouldn't. Audience hates us. They want the underdogs to win. Yeah, we know.
Nick is very much like, I don't want them to win. I don't like when they're just calling the shots.
Stuff out.
Yeah.
But like,
I know.
The thing about Nick is like when Nick talks to someone, everyone catches wind of it and then freaks out about it.
Yeah, I think this is something that I want to talk about, and it's probably more next week of episode 8. But just like, I feel like the difference between us talking with somebody, like especially with like Maggie or something, and talking to somebody, is that like we specifically really like. I think we even say like we want to make sure that like Maggie. It seems like Maggie is the one that's coming to a decision. Where Nick,
we play to their. We play to whatever their thing is.
Exactly.
Like with Maggie, we like, and Maggie's great. I honestly think she comes up with some good strategy. She just comes up with a lot of strategy sometimes. That's like a lot. But we were good at just like having Maggie seem like she was also playing a big part in making our decisions, even though we kind of had a decision we wanted her to come to. We like helped her come to the conclusion herself instead of like talking at them.
Yeah.
I feel like we're good at making people feel included. I don't know. I feel like us three were talking to like everyone, and then like nobody ever really like realizes, or even if they realize it, they don't really like they feel closest to us, so they don't really care.
Exactly. And like Nick literally telling Bree, hey, Jack was in on the split vote, like he voted for you, and Bree's just like, I don't know what's true and what's false. I just want to get rid of Nick. I don't trust Nick. Like literally, like he's telling
I don't
Bree
know what it
the
is.
exact truth of what happened.
Yeah, like Nick is way more trustworthy than we are. It's
like he's telling them what happened. He's just being like so straightforward about it, like almost, and that like he's not like really letting them think about it. And I feel like that's something that we did really well.
Yeah,
it was kind of just like planting seeds and letting people come to their own conclusions. Whereas
it's
Nick,
true.
He has an amazing perception of what is going on, and he just like immediately goes into that and being like, "You're wrong about this." Almost kind of like, and like Jack is actually in on that. Jack is like her, you know, and it's just like it kind of like is almost like too much to process and make you not trust him.
Yeah, it's like information overload.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess some people just give off a more trustworthy vibe. Too, in general, which maybe us three possess more. I don't know. I feel like we're being really cocky.
Yeah, we're being really cocky right now.
Like, yes, I am a snake in confessionals, but I feel like in person, I come off as like very trustworthy. I don't know.
Not according to Nick.
Well, I haven't met with Nick in person yet. Besides normies.
You know, we'll see what happens when you do. But yeah, that's true. I think that
we'll see what happens
Nick on the other hand has had this like neurotic kind of perception since the very beginning. I mean, going back to Kevin being like in the first week, like this guy is like talking to everybody. Remember on the first episode, he goes, Nick texts everybody in the same exact message, and why did he do that? And him and Daniel are both like kind of roasting Nick for like talking too much to them, like. You know, like it isn't a thing that's just happening now. Like he's had this perception since the very first week, which I think is interesting. That like now all of a sudden we're seeing the beginnings of like episode 7. All of a sudden, I think Jack and Mike, you guys had a conversation where you're like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about Nick, and Mike's like, yeah, we used to be tight, and I don't know about FBR, blah blah. So it is kind of interesting seeing Nick kind of get some holes in his game because it didn't really show. He's had a kind of a wild ride pre-merge, but now it's like he's getting it a little bit more. But yeah, should we talk about Chidi and eulogy for Chidi?
Nope. Sorry.
Nope. I knew exactly what you were going to say. Oh wait, Jack. Let me do it. All right, Jack. Eulogy for Chidi.
Nope.
Chidi, you had Plategate, and you were late to the first challenge. What else?
So what could Chidi have done this week to not be voted out?
She could have done more in the previous weeks.
Yeah.
She could have done more every other week.
Like, I know that's our philosophy, is that there's always something that you can do, but, like, I feel like you have to at least have a baseline of something with somebody. Like, I don't want to
She had no connections with literally anyone.
Yeah.
Like, there are people like Mallory and Lucy who people think are, like, not as good players, but at least they have connections with people.
Yeah.
Like, Chidi just didn't have any connections with anyone, except for Nick, who forced the connection upon her.
Yeah, I do think he basically did. I do think that right now Mike and Mallory and Nick are kind of untouchable for being in this Normies Alliance. Ohana's untouchable. So the only people that could get voted off are Lucy and Chidi. So if Chidi would have really, really made a big effort to make connections, maybe she could have put herself in the position where Lucy was less connected than Chidi. I think in 1 week, Chidi could have still done that. Because we already knew, hey, Lucy says she wants to work with the blue team. So
that's true.
I don't know if Lucy had any connections really either. Just Chidi had somehow even less. So I do think if Chidi would have went to you back and said, listen, like, I'm on the bottom, but I am willing to be a number for you. Like, I want to work with you, blah, blah, blah. If she would have went to us and said that, I think that she could have been saved, and Lucy could have went home instead.
And I think she does she has kind of like the inklings to that with Mike at least. I think wants to kind of keep her around, or like he kind of wants to hunt her. I think it's in the episode before this with Sarah Avery about like why he doesn't want to put her out. But he's like, I think she can just be an extra number for us, and she will listen to what we say. So I feel like if she kind of just really leaned into that more almost. And just kind of been like, hey, I am just so with you guys. I'm not even really playing that hard in this game. I just want to keep going with that. I know blue team's kind of lost cause or whatever, and just like you said, go to me or you, Sam, or Sarah too.
Well, did Chidi even meet with you guys at all?
No,
ever.
No.
Yeah, she had never met with me at all. I mean, to me, her and Lucy were kind of the same. They were just a number, but I had actually had a bit of a connection with Lucy. I had at least met with her once and been on the same tribe with her once. So she just didn't make an effort to meet with anyone, honestly. What's the thing?
Here's the thing. This is something that's always brought up in evolution of strategy of, is this thing that we're asking of Chidi go against who she is as a player, and is it asking too much of Chidi? Is it impossible? Is that something that's outside Chidi's skill set?
No, because literally this game is about meeting with people. That's literally what it's about. How else is she playing the game?
She's not.
Still asking.
She can't find idols either.
Yeah.
She can't find idol. She's throwing away the golden ticket. So it might be too much to ask Chidi to talk to people. Because Nick has told her many times to talk to more people. Yeah. And she has never listened.
He's trying his hardest to get her to play.
You know what? At least she didn't quit like AJ.
Even a good shepherd save all the sheep.
She tried to make a move, but no one would listen to her.
Is Chidi the Lisa Kiefer, Sam?
Chidi is the Lisa Kiefer of the season.
Yeah.
But guys, you know who I would rank Chidi above? Is Matthew Israel.
Yes. We're going to place Chidi in the pantheon of 11th place finishers. I agree. What Matthew did in season 1 was pretty much all bad, whereas what Chidi did was pretty much all neutral.
Yeah.
Yes. So if we were to rank,
beats that.
If we were to rank, what place is this? 11th. We were to rank 11th place. I think Chidi is the obvious winner over Matthew.
Yeah, and the thing about Chidi is that somebody like Chidi will always make it to the merge, because I think she has the skill set capable of making it to the merge. If people are not going to want to take her out, look at Mike defending her in that vote right before the merge. He is we are going to keep Chidi around because she has proven herself to Mike to just be such a non-factor to earn a spot into the merge. Whereas Matthew, he is such a wild card demon, whatever adjectives I've heard people describe him as before. There's no way you'd ever want to bring him along to emerge. So, and there's no way he'd ever make it. I can't see a universe where Matthew Israel ever makes it to the merge. So.
Exactly, and then
I agree.
If I were to think who would I remember most from the season, how could you forget Plategate? Plategate cannot be beaten. So,
exactly. Yeah. Does Matthew Israel ever have a Plategate? I don't know. So there we are. There's our official ranking of the 11th place Pantheon. Chidi over Matthew.
Yeah, I agree with that. Big game.
I'm expecting some text.
One of these people has made the merge. One of them has not made the merge.
Yeah.
So.
All
right, kids. Let's move into the power rankings for this week. And for the first time, we only have one tribe to go through in the power rankings. So that'll be fun. We have the.
And guess what? I think for the first time we have all three of us.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this a Mazul tribe or is this a purple tribe? I thought that I would have been fine just calling them. I would have been fine just calling them purple. But
Team Purple.
The purple team. I'm glad that we got to say this because we forgot to mention that during the podcast, and now we get to say it. All right. So, how about this? There's 10 people. We can each take 5.
What? Are you doing math right?
There's 10 people.
Yeah, we can each take 5 as there's 3 of us, and 3 times 5 is 10.
Oh, I meant each 2 people. I'm just so used to Jack not being here that I'm so used to only being 2 of us.
All right.
Jack.
We usually start from the bottom. Jack, I don't know if you know how these work.
All right, so we start with Sam then on the bottom.
Oh. Is Sam on the bottom?
No.
Who is number 10? Who is on the bottom?
You start.
Yeah, okay. Abby? Can you hear me, Abby? Everyone's playing the game and making alliances outside their original tribes, Abby. It's not just Ohana versus Cerulean. Also, Mass isn't real, and Sam doesn't really want to play with you anymore. Abby looks like she's going to be the sacrificial lamb on Ohana, and she doesn't even realize.
Well, you know who does like sacrifices.
Oh, Mallory. Like during the Salem witch trial.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
I wonder if Mallory has... Did she escape to the future to escape the Salem witch trials?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she realizes that Mallory, who's a prosecutor at the Salem witch trials, also travels in future with her.
So basically, Jack, after we read them, we talk about the person. What do you think about Abby's game?
I think she trusts us too much.
Yeah, I feel like, there's a lot of people, I feel like, especially with Chidi out, that have a lot of connections with people, but they are not the other people's, like, number one connections. Like, I feel like Abby does, at least, like, she's playing the game for sure, and she does feel like she has these connections with people. I just think she just doesn't realize that she is nobody's number one at this point, and nobody really has her in that long term of plans, it seems.
I'm also thinking, like, if she did realize, like, who she would have to, like, work with. To try to, like would she have numbers?
I mean, if she had Nick, and if her, Nick, and Bree actually, like, started, that's at least 3 right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they could get another 2 somehow.
From Abby's perspective, I don't know if I can blame her that much, because from her perspective, it seems so obvious that Ohana should be Final 6, and within that, she already believes she has a Final 4. So, in Abby's mind, she's in the Final 4 right now. Why change the ship? Why talk to people that you have no intention of working with? Because if she did start talking a lot to Nick and Mike and Mallory, would that have been good, or do you think that we would have said, well, why is Abby talking to them? So I don't know if I can blame from her perspective too much what she's doing, but it's just that since we had a perspective of knowing what was actually going on, we can say, wow, Abby, you should have been doing more.
We're so, like, controlling.
I know.
Like, if anyone else does something that we don't like, we're like, why are they doing that?
Yeah, so I think literally, like, it's me and you talking, Sarah, in the next episode. We're like, why is he trying to play both sides?
Oh my
like,
gosh.
only we're allowed to do that.
We're so annoying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, audience.
I bet you thought we'd be like rootable underdogs. Like, no.
No, who is potentially a rootable underdog? Number 9 on our list,
Scrappa.
Lucy. Scrappa.
She's a scrappy underdog.
Her confessionals this week just sound like a Pagong member waiting for their name to come up. She thinks the Ohana people might stick together and makes almost no effort to do anything about it. Mike and Nick and Mallory may be able to save her for another week, but it doesn't seem like she has much time left, unless she can really harness that Scrappa spirit and ... I don't know.
You know, Lucy has a good connection with, I think, Mallory, is what it seems like.
Yeah, Mallory was like, I'm so glad that Lucy survived out of the situation she was on Cerulean and got to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about Lucy is, like, it seems like already, like, I don't think a lot of people really want to vote her out that much, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, and that maybe people don't see her as that threatening to win the game. But also it seems like, I don't know, like people are saying, you know, maybe we could vote Abby. People are saying maybe we could vote Bree. People are saying maybe we could vote Mike. People are never really like that into voting for Lucy, which is a positive and a negative.
I think maybe a lot of people at this point are thinking of Lucy as someone that's not super threatening that could be used later.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8. Who do you think is number 8, Jack?
Who I think is number 8 as I'm looking at the...
Wait, I actually don't know what it is.
Okay. So
I say maybe Bree or Maggie.
Number 8, Maggie.
Woo!
Ding.
Maggie, ding, 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 has only just begun to play. What could that mean? And why is my heart racing just thinking about it? Every week, Maggie stays in the game is a blessing, and we've learned not to underestimate her, but she can't keep playing a week-to-week game. If she doesn't start thinking long-term and make some endgame plans, eventually, she's just going to get picked off.
I think at this point, Maggie is the most loyal to Cupcake.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe is a little bit missed. I've talked about it a few times before, but like, I really feel like Maggie kind of looks dumb sometimes and like saying that she feels really close with us, and like obviously she's not really close with us. But the thing is, like, we actually did meet a lot with her. Yeah, it's not just like,
and it's not just like strategy talk. Like we hang out a lot.
Yeah, and
yeah, Maggie was very much like a part of our group. Just not as much strategically.
And well, like, even with me, like pretty strategically. Like you see already, I told her about the Normie Alliance because like I didn't want there to be a whole lot of things that could like get back to Maggie. That like, hey, this is something I didn't tell her about.
I honestly kind of saw her as a threat, though.
Yeah.
Like in general, just because she made that big move against Jeremy. So I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's just somebody who you just like don't want to sit next to at the end because you don't know. Like, are people just gonna like think that like, oh, like Maggie's this ridiculous person that just drinks tequila all the time? Like she didn't really do that much. Are they gonna like go and see Maggie as being like, wow, I can't believe somebody like her who's kind of like always formulating these crazy plans actually was able to make it to the end. Like, I think she deserves my vote because she's like played this wild game and gotten through it all.
Exactly.
So number 7 is Nick. Nick is back killing it in the confessional this week, and he seems like he has a pretty solid read on what's going on in the game. Unfortunately, he also seems pretty powerless to change the game at this point, and even if the Super Alliance holds together for a little while longer, he seems to be decidedly at the bottom. Nobody wants to get the Cheyenne edit as a person who has a pulse of the tribe and still goes out. So hopefully Nick can have some moves and bounce back. I think we talked about Nick's status in the game pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's super perceptive, comes off as snaky, but, if he gets his shit together, he probably could pull off some big moves.
Mm-hmm.
That's my read on it.
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious. I love him.
Yeah.
I didn't like him so much during the game. Or from like the episodes we've seen, but I really like watching it. I really like him.
Yeah, I think
I love how Mike was like,
sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I love how Mike was like, why do Sam and Jack hate Nick so much? And Sarah's like, they don't hate him, they just think that he's suspicious.
Wow, is that how I talk?
Kind of.
Well, we think he's suspicious because he's telling people that it's us three that are working together. Like,
but not episode 7. This is episode 7.
Okay, sorry.
I don't. The lines
this
are
would be 4.
blurred.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is Bree. Bree had the relatable quote of the week with, "My ass doesn't work out," and she killed it by winning the immunity challenge this week. Unfortunately, she's got work to do. She doesn't want to be left behind by all the Super Alliance building and Final 3 talk. Yeah.
Well, we all know what happens to her already.
Yeah.
We do, yes.
Yeah,
she moves very quickly from 6 to 10.
Yeah. She got left behind by the Super Alliance building.
And we'll talk more about that when we have our more in-depth talk about the next episode.
Ohana means that nobody gets left behind. This is the first Ohana to go home since Mom.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we see not a lot of great content because she's getting content, but I feel like she's kind of painted as a threat, which is not what you want to do. Like, we see Abby calling Bree and Jack threats for being super fans. We see people calling Bree a threat for winning immunity. And we also know that Bree is not in this alliance of 6. So those are some things that are kind of signs that things might not be headed the right way for Bree right now.
Yeah, so I guess kind of like a footnote on like what I was saying earlier. Like, you don't want to be like seen so much as not a threat, but also you don't want to be like seen so much as a threat. Like, there's a happy medium right in between those two. Like, if people are just like talking about you constantly as, oh, this person's terrible, let's bring to the end, you don't want to be that person, but you also want to be the person that's like, oh, this person's amazing, like we can't bring them to the end, like they're too good to get to the end. So yeah, I feel like Bree is like finding herself more on that end of the spectrum at this point in the game after episode 7.
Absolutely. Number 5, Sam.
Man,
Sam really touched our hearts this week. As people who've been uplifted by the Survivor community, we were really moved by how genuinely heartfelt Sam was. And I'm sorry for the gratuitous use of the snake emoji, LOL. Sam is in a precarious position because he's got an alliance and he's in good, but he's itching to make a move, which, given the strong relationships Jack and Sarah have, may blow up in his face. But Sam is great with people and they want to trust him, so we certainly don't count him out. Side notes, no tribal council glasses? What's up with that? And the mismatched socks of the challenge? Adorbs. Aw, thank you.
Wait, we haven't been talking about this, but Sam, you're a fashion icon.
Oh, definitely. I will gladly take the reign of the new fashion icon from our good friends Shay and Nikhil, watching from the sidelines and cheering me on.
So did you just see into the future about our discussion about season 1 fashion icons and know that you had to continue on that legacy?
I knew I had it on.
Even though we had no idea who those people were at that point in the game.
Fun fact.
Well, no. This is what happened. Lavana, back then, during this filming of the season, knows the future, and she told me I needed to dress really wacky. That way, in the future, when I had a podcast, I could talk about myself being a fashion icon. That's actually what happened.
Okay.
Yes. So, what were we going to say, Sarah?
I think I'm saying dumb things right now. I was just going to say, fun fact, your glasses don't actually have prescriptions. He found it, didn't you find it just, behind your drawer?
It was underneath my dresser. I just found them, and I was like, these have been gifted to me. I'm going to use them.
George Monkey gave them to you.
But I think that Lavana actually gifted them to me supernaturally.
But so are these glasses from the past or are they from the future? Because they're from the past because you're continuing on the legacy of Shay and Nikhil, which happened before you. But they're from the future because of a discussion that we haven't had yet before. So,
I think that Mallory maybe Mallory was involved with the time travel too. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of time travel happening in this episode.
It's hard to keep track of.
So it's hard to keep track of the timeline. Let's move on to speaking of time travel and non-humans and everything. Mike is number 4. Mike sounds a little bit like Tony Soprano's confessional this week, which is probably appropriate because he's going to need some loyalty. He seems to be locked in with Nick, Mallory, and Lucy. Still close to Jack, very tight with Sarah. But if the Ohana thing materializes, he's in deep trouble and might need a couple challenge wins to help him along.
He is built like a hockey player.
Does he play sports? Oh, Mike, yeah.
Mike, Robot Mike, Bot, whatever the name you said.
Hey, so this is Mike. I'm coming in at number 4 on the Power Rankings, and I think I'm going to talk a little bit about Tony Soprano.
Yeah, the tribe is called Mazul. I'd be fine with just purple, but so I just want to say that I'm ranked ahead of Sam at number 4, while he's number 5. And I think that that's something that I'm pretty proud of because I think that Sam, I think he really is a wrestler, and he's probably lying to me about not being a wrestler. And I think that maybe it's a little bit of justice here that I take him up on the rankings. So.
That actually sounded just like him.
Even though Mike is very athletic, he is not high enough to be number 3 in the rankings, which is Jack. Our hopes of an all KYTL Final 3 seems to be dashed, as Jack is now returning as the favor from last week and thinking about when to cut Sam. He's a threat, especially more so as news of his idol seems to be about to break, but he has 2 idols, and I don't see him going out like James Clement. So, if he can use them correctly and leverage his relationship with Maggie and Mike, it's entirely possible Jack can beast mode his way to the end of this game. If he gets there, it seems pretty clear he's got a lot of votes coming his way. Side note, Joe sent me the pivot gift from Friends as an episode preview and totally paid off with that whiteboard scene.
Oh my gosh,
the whiteboard scene was pretty great slapstick humor.
I remember us hitting like everything on the way down. We were making so much noise. I was scared we were gonna get yelled at.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's honestly like one of my favorite memories of all of Survivors. That entire whiteboard meeting and everything that goes on with that. From forgetting the Sharpie to like realizing it was in my coat pocket.
Oh my gosh.
Great times.
Oh, I forgot it was in your coat pocket.
Yeah. No, you can actually see it. Like, I realized when I was watching this, you can very clearly see like the imprint of the Sharpie.
That's so funny.
Like in my coat, in my like hoodie pocket. Like it's not in my coat pocket; it's like my hoodie pocket right in front of me.
Wow, that's
idiot! So I feel like that's probably a down. I feel like that's probably like shows why it shouldn't be that high on the power rankings, is because I don't even know where a marker is in my hoodie pocket. So how can I know who to trust in this game?
How can you know where the idols are and not know where the marker is?
That's true.
I don't know. Yeah. We have Sarah at number 2. Just Sarah, no X, had a fantastic week. Fantastic, as a Mitch voice.
Fantastic.
We'd be remiss. I'll read this in Mitch voice.
Yeah.
We'd be remiss if we didn't start with her confessional about her friendship with Jack and Sam and what Survivor means to her, which had us both totally choked up. But strategically,
we had to call our moms afterwards because of how much we were crying.
We had to call our moms and tell our moms how much we loved them because Sierra inspired us. But strategically, she's in the center of the universe. Everybody wants to work with her. She's got Jack. She's got Mike. She's nobody's biggest threat. And with a clash looming between the remaining guys, if things go her way, Sierra is primed to Natalie Anderson, her way to a win.
Sierra
Dawn Thomas.
Yeah.
So the Sierra Dawn Z. So do you think you're going to be able to manage your way to a win at this point with Mike?
I think I'm pretty good at, Mitch was about managing the girls. I think I'm out here managing the guys.
I think you are. You're managing me, Sam, and Mike pretty well. I honestly feel like,
I try.
All right. We have number 1.
Sorry.
Very new, number 1 for the first time, Mallory. Mallory. The hype is real. This is happening. From dead last in our first power ranking to number 1 at the merge, Mallory is the ultimate comeback kid.
Whoa.
Not only is she involved in everyone's plans, Mike and Nick both look at her as somebody to go to the end with, and Sarah and Jack see her as a goat to bring along. But Abby, basically a guaranteed juror, can see her as a threat, so if she gets to the end, it's entirely possible she gets the votes to win against all sorts of combinations of people. We're just so proud of her, and in the words for wall hanging, can I get a hell yeah?
Yes, you guys noticed the best things. Honestly, shout out to Joe and Paul because they noticed all the things that I want people to notice when they watch these episodes. I want the audience to tweet us who your favorite underdog is because I'm very curious.
Who's your least
favorite
overdog?
We're not underdogs. I want to know who
I said probably not one of us 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good for Mallory. I mean, worked her way up from number 18 or whatever it was to number 1 in the power rankings. Definitely not seen by many people in the game as a threat. I know Jack mentioned that there's a good balance. Mm-hmm. You need to make sure that you're not seen as threatening, but if you're seen as too unthreatening, people just aren't going to vote for you to win. And that's something that Mallory would have to look, because the line between Mallory and Lucy is, I mean, what is it? You know what I mean? Between Lucy, who is ranked very low in these power rankings and not seen as very threatening, Mallory, who is number 1 and also not seen as very threatening. But there is a difference in their games.
There definitely is. I think what it kind of seems like to me is that people are trying to keep Mallory in the loop with things. Like, even if they think that she's somebody they can keep in the loop with and like bring her along to the end, at least they are doing that.
All right, so that is it. That we just do the power rankings for episode 7, and keep on listening to this marathon of a podcast as we move on to the discussion of episode 8.
Don't let that torch go out. Keep your torch lit.
To be continued.